Well, for a deeper look at that situation, let's talk to Awol Allo. He's an analyst on Ethiopian affairs, and he joins me now. Thank you for making time. Now, the hopes are high, but is the new Prime Minister going to be able to deliver these promises that he's making?
The Prime Minister has been making extensive and profound promises, and I think the biggest question now is not whether he has the intention and the will to do so, because he has very clearly stated not only his desire to walk the walk, but also his desire to be inclusive in terms of taking those actions. So the question is whether he will be able to deliver on those promises. And there are huge challenges, because this is a country that faces a huge crisis, and it does require a leadership that has a sound strategic instinct and a vision, very clear plans. And I think in this last speech that he made as part of this tour in Addis Ababa a couple of days ago, he has laid out detailed policies talking about how he wants to reform the security sector that's responsible for the abuses of the last several years. He talked about the need to reform the justice sector. He talked about the need to reform the electoral board.
Sorry, just to jump in and ask about that, because you're talking about the security sector. One thing he could potentially do is lift the state of emergency. Why hasn't he done that?
Lifting the state of emergency, and I think a lot of people have been saying, is one of the most urgent and immediate tasks that he needs to accomplish. There might be a few considerations here and there in terms of consensus within the ruling coalition as to the timing of lifting the state of emergency. But if he is to get any reform agendas through, if he is to deliver on any of these promises and hopes that he has created, lifting the state of emergency is the most important and immediate task. He has not done that so far, but it might require building some consensus within the ruling coalition. But that is a very important and urgent task. Without lifting the state of emergency, there is simply no way of creating the conditions that are necessary for what he calls a constitutional democracy.
But is that a sign
there is no
then?
Way of
sorry, just to cut in again. Is that a sign then that maybe he isn't as in charge as we might assume? Because in a state of emergency, the command post, a section of military, does have, in effect, control of the state. So how much is he able to do with his will, and how much will depend on what the party lets him?
No, actually, the Prime Minister is in charge. The Prime Minister is the Commander-in-Chief. He is responsible for implementing the Constitution. The command posts, every executive body within the country are accountable to the Prime Minister. They serve at his pleasure. He can make a move on the state of emergency. He can ask Parliament to lift it. But I think given the fact that this is a coalition of parties ruling the country, he might need to build enough consensus. Particularly, he might need the consensus of elements within the intelligence.
Right. All right. Thank you very much for joining us this evening. The will is there now. People are waiting for the action.